The hosts and guests on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals. The discussions in our episodes are not personalized medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for medical guidance. Never delay seeking professional medical advice or emergency assistance because of our podcast. We encourage consulting with a healthcare professional before making any significant health changes. By listening to our podcast, you agree to the disclaimer. Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast.
Everything that we need is found in nature.
Yeah, that's
the problem is all the chemicals, all the additives, all the junk that goes into some of the products that are out there. If you could spend most of your time in the perimeter of the supermarket, you're good.
Yeah, I've heard that too, for sure.
Yeah. That's where you want to spend. In the middle is where I can't say all the processed stuff. Your rice, things like brown rice, things like
sure,
they're going to be like in the middle as well. So just make sure that you're reading labels. I cannot stress that enough. One ingredient can make something go from being super healthy to not healthy at all.
Hey, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast, where we celebrate the beautiful but messy life experiences that most, if not all, people go through. Get ready to embark on an exciting journey through the raw and unfiltered stories of everyday people. Here, we dive into messy realities of life, from making messy mistakes to triumphs and everything in between. Are you sensing a theme? That's right, it's messy. But this just isn't about the mess. It's about finding strength and resilience in the midst of it all. We'll explore how health, fitness, and wellness play a crucial role in navigating life's twists and very messy turns. And we'll challenge conventional systems, because sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the greatest discoveries. Join us as we embrace the messy, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating stories. Each episode is a testament to the power of our messy journeys and the beauty that emerges from the mess. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, sparkling water, whatever it may be, and prepare to be inspired. Are you ready? Let's get messy. All right. Well, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast. I am your messy host, Sarah Wilson. I have with me today a nationally recognized natural health expert, Ramona Fasula, owner of Wellness by Ramona, certified holistic health coach, and a certified stress management coach. Welcome, Ramona.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How does one come to be a certified stress management coach?
Well, when you look at what's happening in this, in this country, how people are just so incredibly stressed out. I'm a doer, right? So I see the problem and I'm doing something about it. So I said, I wonder if there's any certification just for stress. So I did my research and there was. So I had to enroll in that right away. One certification leads to another. I'm a big nerd, Sarah. I love that. I love learning, and knowledge is power.
It is.
I can help people in so many more ways with the more certifications that I have. So the end of last year, I went and got certified as a gut health specialist because everything begins in the gut. Hippocrates said this many years ago, and it just drives me crazy that the medical establishment is not really looking at that.
It is. And I've heard it. I was just going to say, I've heard the gut called the second brain.
Absolutely. The gut-brain axis. So things like depression, right? Instead of prescribing antidepressants, look at the gut first and see what's going on there.
Definitely.
And it's just, it's hard to watch. You see comments on Facebook and I just see people struggling every single day. And I'm like, there's a better way. And I'm so glad that I have the knowledge that I'm able to help people because I feel like we're getting sicker. And this is something we talked about offline a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
You feel like we're getting sicker as a society. And the information's there. Mm-hmm. The coaches are there. When I first started this about 14 years ago, there were not a lot of health and wellness coaches. This industry exploded. Doctors don't, and you said this a few minutes ago, they have 4 hours of nutrition training. They need somebody, and they're so busy with so many patients, right? And I'm not knocking the medical establishment. They're very well educated. They go to school for a really long time. They're great at diagnosis, great at diagnosis, great at emergency medicine. We need the medical establishment. They can work together with health and wellness coaches
Yes.
for the better.
And they should.
They absolutely
They should. And I've said this before. Yeah, we have a great, emergency medicine, crisis medicine, getting quickly results that we need in those kinds of situations, absolutely bar none. People come to this country to receive those kinds of services.
Yeah.
But the actual maintenance of the body, I feel like they're sort of lacking in that area because they're not looking at the whole body, the whole system. They're looking at just your symptom and then looking for the prescription that will go to fix that symptom.
You're absolutely right. I remember when I was in nutrition school and Dr. Mark Hyman, I'm sure you heard of Dr.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? He actually said they match the pill to the ill.
Mm.
That's what they do.
Absolutely what
He's
they do.
Amazing. He's a functional medicine practitioner. He spoke for a couple hours, no notes, no PowerPoints, nothing. He just spoke. And everybody was just mesmerized by the information that we were getting from him. He could have gone on for another 2 or 3 hours easily. Yeah. And you know what? And we would have sat there and we would have just eaten up everything he was saying because we were completely fascinated by him. There needs to be more doctors like that.
I totally agree. And I think the parallel that I've seen, especially speaking to several functional medicine experts like yourself, is there's a passion inside of you. So when you talk about he was speaking without notes, I think it just comes out because you're excited with the information you've learned and you just so willingly want to share it with others so then they can be informed as well.
You're absolutely right. Speaking from the heart. I remember somebody asked me to do a presentation at the Pyramid Club in Philadelphia on cancer. So there was this woman, I had my notes prepared, this woman who was a breast cancer survivor. And very powerful. She spoke before me, very, very powerful. And, I just wanted to cry, hearing her story. Mm-hmm. So I got down off the stage. I asked for permission. I said, can I give you a hug? So I went down off the stage. I gave her a hug. And I said, has anybody ever talked to you? Have any of the doctors talked to you about nutrition and how you can help heal the body with nutrition? She said, no. I said, I'm going to change that. So I gave her a hug. I came back to this podium and people were crying. Wow. I just kept, and it was just a really, really powerful moment. I want to change that.
Yeah.
Little old me, I want to change that.
Yeah.
And I continued to speak. I got back to the podium and I said, wow, this isn't how I expected this to go today. If you want to take a moment, dry your eyes and then
sure.
And then I continued, and one of the women that was there, she said, do you have a publicist? I said, no. She said, you need one. She said, you spoke from the heart, and it was just so moving, the things that you were saying. But yeah, I mean, this is not like work to me. I can, just like Dr. Hyman did, I mean, I can talk and talk about different topics when it comes to wellness because I'm so passionate about it. I watched my dad pass away from complications of diabetes back in 2001, and that put me on this journey. And I never looked back. I lost my job in the financial industry, so I felt like that was the universe giving me a push. Mm-hmm. Hey, you're interested in this stuff. You can really help a lot of people. We're going to take that job away from you in the financial industry so that you can really do what you were put on this earth to do. Mm-hmm. And I believe 100% that we're put on this earth to serve others, not ourselves. So I try to do that every single day.
I would agree with that. And we talk about on this show your messy story. So losing your dad, especially, I'm sure after you went to school and you gained your certifications and your knowledge, looking back, how maybe some of it could have been prevented perhaps, or changed the course a little bit of the things that you knew of how to help to heal him through nutrition and wellness and things like that. And then, like you said, losing your job in the financial industry. So did you feel that calling right away?
Well, a friend of mine at the time, she said, what are you upset about? She said, you have so much knowledge already when it comes to nutrition. She said, go find a nutrition program and start your own business. I think I was upset for about an hour of losing my job, and I really started to think about it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, I enrolled at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York, and one certification led to another. I'm still not done. The next certification that I'm going to be looking at is to support women in menopause, because I've done a ton of research on that.
Menopause now, so yes.
Yeah. So I have a knowledge that I'm helping women now, but I'm going to be getting that certification this year. I want to get another master's degree, this time in nutrition. I have my MBA. So I'm not done. I definitely see a PhD in the future as well.
Good for you.
I know. Yeah.
That's incredible. And all the people that you're helping, because I know, like we had talked about offline, I'm like this little sponge trying to soak up everything that I possibly can. And it's really just for my own right now. I'm just trying to learn what I can for me. But, the passion of wanting to pass it on and help others and get out there. And, there is answers. There are hope. There is hope. And you don't have to just be stuck with the prescription and, like you said, the ill to pill, which is really, yeah.
And my dad had said to me a long time ago, he said, when you don't have your health, you have nothing. And it is so true, because your health affects every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Right? It affects your not only your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, the relationships that you keep, right? If you're really moody or yelling at people, whatever the case may be, it affects your relationships. So literally, and your work.
I've said this before, unfortunately, a lot of us take it for granted when the health is not an issue. We could sort of take it for granted that we are in good health, or maybe, we haven't had things arise to the surface yet or whatever. And so we kind of take it for granted. And I like what you wrote on your website. Why do we always wait until our health is wrong to make it right? And that just kind of stuck with me. Like, why do we do that?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in people's minds, but it takes a lot less energy to prevent disease than to fight your way back when you have one. And my father tried to fight his way back, and it didn't work, obviously. But it takes a lot of energy when you, and plus you don't feel well. I think about people that have cancer, that they just don't have the energy, to fight. My mentor, Christina Perillo, she had leukemia. And she said, you don't understand. Like, there were just some days when you don't think you have that fight in you. She fought hard. And if you know anything about leukemia, it spreads like wildfire. And she fixed it with a macrobiotic diet.
Wow.
Nutrition. So she realized that food was medicine. She went back to school, got a master's degree in nutrition. Now she travels all over the world teaching people that food is medicine. And I've kind of modeled my career around what I'm learning from her. I mean, she would say to me, I would sit in the front row of her classes, and she would say, I would see the light bulb going off in your head, and I knew exactly what you were thinking. Who can I help with this information that Christine is giving me right now? And boy, was she right, because I took notes. And you know what? I thought about my clients, and I thought about who I can help and how. And boy, man, she really made a difference in my life in a big way. And
that's incredible.
Clients as well.
Yeah. And almost taking it a step further, right? You have nutrition can be medicine, but there is food that can equal sickness, and kind of determining which and what's good. And, as women, we talk about losing weight and this and that, but it's really getting down to the nitty gritty and finding out the nourishment that your body needs. The rest kind of works itself out as long as you're giving your body that proper nourishment.
Exactly. The body has a tremendous power to heal itself given the right tools. And I would say nutrition is the number one tool.
Yeah.
And there's acupuncture. I'm a firm believer in acupuncture. I have an amazing acupuncturist in my area that I just love. So chiropractor, acupuncturist, Reiki. right? So Dr. Oz's wife is a Reiki master, like myself. And she said the next wave of medicine is going to come when doctors realize that we're energetic beings and we need to be treated on an energetic level as well, right? So we are energy from head to toe. Sometimes energy becomes stagnant and it gets blocked, right? So doing something like Reiki helps to remove those blockages so that the energy flows freely throughout the body. And she does Reiki on Dr. Oz every day.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I love that. Because we are energy and we also need energy from the sun. I talk a lot about grounding and things like that and how it balances us and all that. So definitely there's power in that. So let's talk about the dirty word inflammation. Always
underlying cause of all disease. Yep.
Underlying cause. So give me the first step somebody can do to try and combat this dirty word of inflammation.
So I would say like cabbage. Cabbage is probably the most anti-inflammatory food that is out there.
Okay.
Heart cherry juice, another powerful anti-inflammatory. Anything with omega-3s in it as well, that is anti-inflammatory. The omega-6s are pro-inflammatory. So your omega-3s would be things like fish oil, things like olive oil, things like walnut, salmon. These are very anti-inflammatory.
And so let's talk about that for a minute. How have we become so inflamed? What is it that we're doing as a society? Is it the food we're eating? Is it the sedentary lifestyle? What is happening to have such inflammation of the gut, like all of this stuff? What's happening?
Sugar. I would say the number one thing is sugar. Sugar is the enemy. And I've written a book about that, an ebook on my website. It literally damages your DNA.
What's the book called?
I have about 4 or 5 different ebooks on the website.
Okay.
Honestly, I wrote it so long ago, I honestly can't remember the name of it. It is on my website though.
Okay.
So you can check it out. You can purchase it on the website. But yeah, sugar is the enemy because it damages all of your organs. It causes extreme inflammation throughout the body. And the problem is people are so addicted to it.
Because it is addicting.
It is
100% addicting.
Addictive. I'll give you a little tip. So I had a client quite a while ago, and she was addicted to York peppermint patties. She had a bag, and she would keep it in her freezer. And I said, when do you have that sugar craving? She said, after dinner. I said, here's what I want you to do. After you have your dinner, after you clean up, take a shot of apple cider vinegar and water and see how you feel after that. Cravings went away.
Wow.
So, I mean, not only did it help with the cravings, it's very alkaline as well, right? So things like cancer can't survive in an alkaline environment. They need that acidity, right? Acidity is brought on by things like sugar. But it's pretty incredible. Like the littlest tips go a long way.
Definitely.
A lot of people out there that are addicted to sugar, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely.
Gluten.
Yeah, the gluten. Yeah. We just went all crazy in on sugar. I mean, you look at just even today, the breakfast cereals that they have out there for kids to eat and things like that. I mean, you might as well just put a giant bowl of sugar in front of them. There's no difference.
Absolutely. And there's so much misinformation out there, Sarah, like so much misinformation. My recommendation, work with a health coach.
Yeah.
Right. We have the education and you have to, studies are done, right? You always want, when you look at studies, you always want to see who's funding them. Because obviously there's going to be bias there.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So health coaches have the knowledge, and coaching is interesting. Like a lot of people say, well, what is health coaching exactly? Like what does a coach do? So kind of compare it to, it's different from therapy, right? So a therapist is going to look at the why, right? So they're going to analyze you, right? And help you figure out why you do the things that you do. As a coach, we're going to look at the how, right? So our job is not to analyze you. It's not to judge you. We're going to look at the how. So you're here. You want to be here. There's a gap in between. How do we get you over that gap so that we can get you motivated so that you can change those behaviors that are going to help you reach your goals. That is what coaching is really about. We customize programs based on the individual. So no two people are alike.
So true.
Everything from weight loss to heart disease, diabetes. I've worked with people that have had cancer, menopausal women. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. People with serious gut issues. It literally affects everything from your brain health to your heart health. People that have skin issues, right? So your skin is the largest organ in the body. You can look at somebody's skin and see what's going on inside of them.
Yeah.
Right. So kids that have acne, right? There's a hormonal imbalance, something going on with the gut, right? So there's nothing that you can't name where the gut doesn't have come into play,
right,
with that particular condition. But unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Definitely.
Yes.
And and I've heard people say, this isn't your standard checkup going to the doctor. This is an investment in your health and trying to find the missing puzzle pieces, if you will, and how to fill that whole picture so you can see what is missing and how to achieve to get it.
Exactly. That's the most important investment that you can ever make, because as I mentioned before, your health affects every aspect. It's insane. I work with some financial advisors, and we talk about health and money all the time. I believe the latest number of what it costs a retired married couple over the course of time on their health, $360,000.
Wow.
I could save them 80% of that by working on them and teaching them about health, right? You'd have to have a separate account with $360,000 in that account, right? And most people don't.
No. And nor should they have to if they're doing the right things. That's just ludicrous to have to think that you're going to spend that much money on something that you could probably prevent, or at least some of it anyway.
Money, time, energy, going back and forth to doctor. My dad went back and forth to doctors all the time, always in the emergency room when he got really sick with the diabetes. I mean, I think the staff knew us by name because we were in there so much. There's a better way, and there are plenty of health coaches, around the country that can help support people.
And growing in numbers, I think I heard it's the number one fastest growing industry in at least this country, if not the world.
Yeah, because it's so needed.
It is needed for sure.
And most coaches, they do have that story, whether it's somebody that some messiness, as you said, right? Whether it's like somebody in their family that passed away from something, or, somebody worked with a health coach before they became one because they were having health issues, or they did the research on their own and came across a wellness program so that they can support others in their journey.
Yeah.
People you're not alone, they think they are. People that are dealing with depression, there's a gut, that's part of the equation.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Anxiety, depression, all of these things, that gut-brain axis, it's there.
Yeah. And it almost, I think I've said this before on this podcast, they call it the second brain, but it's almost the first brain, because you can't really do the things that you need to do in your brain if the gut dysbiosis or the gut, it's so off its kilter, you can't do anything.
Exactly. And just because we're talking about the gut, it'll manifest in different ways if there's dysbiosis, right? So it could be digestive issues, could be neurological issues, could be heart issues. So just because we're saying gut health, it doesn't always have to be that somebody has digestive problems.
Right.
It could be like someone that gets migraines. Right? There could be gut dysbiosis there. I can say there's most likely dysbiosis there. So, it could be a number of things with migraines. It could be a magnesium deficiency. It could be a number of things. Yeah. But so Everything
It's all
stems
related.
back to the gut.
Yeah.
That's a number one thing when somebody comes to me and when they tell me the things that they're dealing with. Okay, let's take a look at what you're doing for your gut.
Fix that first, and then we'll
Yes.
see what else is next on the.
Yeah, and then we'll go from there. They said in school when I was going for that certification, it's just like a spider web.
Mm.
It affects everything in the body, and it really does. I've seen it. I've seen it with people. So,
And it may not be, I mean, it could be as simple as just taking a probiotic, but it also could be eliminating the sugar, or, adding something that you might be deficient in, something like that. But probiotics is probably a good place to start, I would imagine.
that is correct. Now there's prebiotics, right, which feeds the probiotics. And then you have postbiotics, which is a new area of research. So when the prebiotic feeds the probiotic, the aftermath of that, which is not a bad thing, it's a good thing, that's called the postbiotic. So making sure that you're getting, you need gut diversity as well, right, with different types of bacteria. People that are having issues losing weight, there's gut dysbiosis.
Sure.
Right?
Well, and I recently learned, and again, I'm a layman, but I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding, at least growing up in my generation, it was go to the doctor, get the antibiotic of whatever's ailing you. They would even prescribe antibiotics for something that was viral, even though antibiotics are not going to help anything, only bacteria. But they didn't understand, or I didn't realize it flushes out all of the good gut flora. It takes everything down basically to the stubs, if you will, and you have to build that back up. And if you don't, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get the bad bacteria before that good bacteria comes back. And now we're left with a bad gut.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it's unfortunate, that, and like I said, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that people are just listen to the doctor. The doctor told you to do this. And again, I'm not knocking the.
Of course not.
We need them. And there's so many incredible doctors that are out there. And a lot of them now are realizing that nutrition is so important, and it should be the first line of defense. Even medication causes dysbiosis,
right,
and affects gut health. But they're realizing. I remember years ago, my mom passed away a few years ago, and her cardiologist, quite a while ago, I was saying about a decade ago, he knew what I did for a living, and he kind of hesitated for a minute. And I knew he was getting ready to say something profound. And I said, yeah. And he said, we prescribe way too much medication as doctors.
Wow.
And
that's crazy that he admitted that.
And I said, I can't disagree with you on that. He said, we need to really start focusing on working with health coaches and making the first line of defense nutrition, because it is really, really powerful. So I knew that was like wow, there are doctors that do.
That's a good doctor.
Get it. Yeah. Yeah. He was a cardiologist, and he's pretty amazing. So I knew something big was coming, because I saw the look on his face because he saw what I was doing to help my mother, and it was working because I got her off medications.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah.
Maybe he was even a little afraid to stay it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But he did. And that was pretty, I remember that. I will always remember.
That's a good doctor.
Doctors get it. They're starting to really, really, really get it. Some doctors go back to school and get master's degree in nutrition.
That's incredible. They should. Again, depending on what specialty they're going into, again, what we were saying, that nutrition can be medicine, and it should be studied for sure.
I think that it should definitely be a bigger part of the curriculum. And I know they have so much to learn.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but there are avenues out there that they can pursue to get more educated on this stuff. Or if they just want to work with coaches, I'm perfectly okay to do that.
Again, like we were talking about, it should be an integrated thing. It should be on the same platform for sure. All right. So we talked about the dirty word inflammation. So let's kind of go down. You talk a lot about eating the rainbow. And what does that do for us?
So when you eat the rainbow, you're getting a wide variety of nutrients, right? So I'll give you an example. I wrote an article about this very thing, and I called it Color Coding Your Health, right? So when you go into a supermarket, your cart should look like a Crayola crayon box in that there's so many different colors, right? So if you look at your purple foods, right? So things like eggplant. I had some eggplant tonight in a brown rice bowl, super, super healthy. Eggplant's a longevity food, right? So any of the purple, the plums, the eggplants, that deep purple pigment is anthocyanins, which is very powerful antioxidants, right? Your green foods, so like your green leafy vegetables, those are great for detoxification. You have your red foods like your cherries or your strawberries that are really good for your heart, right? Plenty of antioxidants in those. Your orange foods, beta carotene, cancer preventing, right? Really good for your eyes, just incredible nutrients. So if you have a wide variety, your white foods like your cauliflower, your leeks, your garlic, those are foods that are going to boost your immunity. So if you're getting a wide variety of these foods, you're getting a ton of different nutrients that are going to support you and optimize your wellness. So always remember Crayola crayon box when you go into that supermarket.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're picking up lots of different colors. It's funny, like clients will say to me, I was in the supermarket yesterday and I felt like I had a little mini you on my shoulder, like explaining.
Yeah.
Cauliflower, it's going to help to prevent cancer. It's going to help to boost your immunity. Make sure you get that eggplant in there because that's a longevity food. And it's just funny because I hear the same story from different clients. Like,
Yeah.
let me stay away from the sugar. That's bad for you.
Yeah.
But it works. Like having them understand the why is so much more impactful than
Sure.
saying, eat your broccoli, eat your
Sure.
cauliflower. It's good for you. Well, why is it good for me?
And it kind of gives them back a little bit of power. They're kind of making these choices and they're empowering themselves to do right by them.
Exactly. And I want to make it easy for people. Everyone thinks that I have to go on a diet and it's going to be so difficult. My life's going to turn upside down. The number one thing I hear from clients, that was easier than I thought.
Because
It is.
if you're doing it to change your lifestyle, if you're doing it to eliminate the bad food and bring in the good food, you don't have to overthink it. It's just merely that.
Food is so powerful.
Now, I do a lot of picking my food based on the glycemic index because I'm trying to watch the valleys and peaks of blood sugar and things like that. But sticking to the rainbow, blueberries are low on the glycemic index and things like that.
Rainberries are what some doctors are calling blueberries. It actually builds new neurons in the brain.
Rainberries, I like that.
Strawberries are great for the brain as well. I'll give you a little tip. If you're doing a presentation anywhere, do a handful of blueberries and walnuts for cognitive health. Super, super beneficial. I had somebody tell me last week that they were doing a presentation and they said, wow, my focus was just off the charts. I did the blueberry and walnut thing and it really worked.
Wow.
Rainberries. Yeah.
That's
so
great. Good to know. Yeah. And so just off of that, the glycemic index, but just the rainbow is pretty low. I mean, I think carrots are kind of high and some other things, but most of the things in the rainbow are fairly low on the glycemic index. And they talk about, well, there's sugar in fruit. It's a different kind of sugar though.
It is a different kind of sugar. Yeah.
And your body metabolizes it different as well.
Absolutely. You know what? And what's really scary is the high fructose corn syrup. It's in so many things that goes right to the liver. Like your body doesn't metabolize it the same way. It goes right to your liver, causes fatty liver condition. In this country, we have the most cases of fatty liver condition.
Right. Non-alcoholic fatty liver condition, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, and food manufacturers are sneaky. Once they know that something's bad, they change the name. Right. So high fructose corn syrup. I've seen corn syrup or corn sugar, right? So, and they'll say no high fructose corn syrup. Right? There's high fructose corn syrup. You just change the name on people.
Definitely.
So,
and you couple that with some red dye number 40 and some lake blue number 9 and all that, and you've got all kinds of behavioral issues and just terrible stuff.
Absolutely. It's awful. It is awful. Some of the things, and I just said yesterday to somebody, if people knew half the stuff they were consuming and what's in it and what it's doing to their bodies, they would never eat it again.
I would hope so. I would hope they would make different choices. And it blows my mind still knowing that, England and all these other countries, these things are illegal. You cannot put them in the food over there. But here, yeah, it's okay.
It's like anything, they can just put anything out. It's making people sicker, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, and that's great that you are there, though, to guide us to a better, a greener pasture for sure. So we talked about the dirty word inflammation. We talked about the rainbow, and then talking about boosting your immunity with food.
Boosting your immunity. Yeah. So those white foods, right? So your cauliflower, your leeks, your garlic, your onions, super, super healthy and boosting immunity. Mushrooms are incredible.
I've seen a lot of research lately on mushrooms for different things.
One of the things that I like, I've been consuming is the mushroom coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's adaptogens, so super healthy, good for the gut, good for immunity, good for so many things. There's a reason they call them medicinal mushrooms. There's definitely a reason for that. So yeah, and there's so many different kinds too.
Yeah.
Variety. Get that variety in your diet.
Definitely.
And your body will respond. You're definitely going to feel the difference when you're eating good, natural, whole foods versus junk and all the processed stuff. It really does take a toll on the body. It's hard.
Yeah. My sister, she tells me, and it's very hard for me to do it, but I'll do it. If she ever feels a cold coming on, she always says she eats a clove or 2 of garlic before the cold comes. And it doesn't maybe not necessarily prevent the cold from coming, but it certainly takes out the potency that it might be.
Absolutely. Garlic, antiviral, antibacterial, super great for the heart. I mean, so many things. Onions are amazing as well. Interesting. In the time of the bubonic plague, what people used to do, they used to take an onion, cut it in half, put it on their nightstands, both nightstands. When they woke up in the morning, that was all black. So it was really protecting them from getting the...
Wow. Mm-hmm. It absorbed whatever was in the air. Wow. That's interesting.
So imagine what it's doing inside.
Yeah.
Right, mopping up all that free radical damage in the body, the air, environmental toxins, all the pollutants that are out there, the things we're putting on our skin. Imagine what that garlic and the onions are doing inside your body. It's amazing.
It's really incredible. We really do need to try and focus on looking at that the food is medicine, that we have been given everything that we need. It's provided us with what we need. We just need to know what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I've certainly enjoyed having you on. If somebody wanted to work with you, or where could they find you if they wanted to look up your stuff?
Yeah, they can go to my website. It's Wellness by Ramona, Ramona. And thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. Oh, usually people get it wrong. I'm so cool. Yeah. They can go to my website. They can go to Wellness by Ramona. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well. But yeah, if they just go right to my website, they can set up a consultation. My number's on there as well. So they can give a call, and I'm more than happy. I customize programs based on the individual. So there's coaching. There's a lot of education as well. I provide recipes. I do a lot for the people that I work with. I make it easy. I want everybody to understand that it doesn't have to be difficult.
I love that. And I'll include all of that in the show notes. All right. Thank you so much, Ramona. This has been great. I really appreciate you coming on as a guest.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's been fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. If you don't mind, if you'd head on over to wherever you listen to the podcast, like, subscribe, maybe leave me a review. I would really appreciate it. Also, make sure to check out my new website, www.everythingsmessy.com. Social media is where you can find me. Instagram at Everything's Messy Podcast. Same with Facebook. I'm on X at Everything's Mess. And if you'd like to reach out to me for email, I'm everythingsmessy@gmail.com. Once again, thank you so much for listening and keep it messy.